Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat, back with some more cards using up this magazine kit. I'm getting there, but I really have run out of steam now. I didn't realise how far things will go when when you're making cards. So I have still got quite a few bits left, but here we go. This, I used that pink cardstock, it's kind of like a slightly lilac-y pink, which is Kingston Crafts from the pastel card kit, and then the purple is actually from, I think it's the everyday cardstock kit. I've just got some A4 pieces left. I'd cut them down to A4. They were 12 by 12 because I got slightly damaged few pieces of cardstock. So yeah, so I cut off the wrinkly ends so that I've got this as a nice base. And I really loved that part of the paper with the hummingbird. So I didn't really want to cover it up. And I was sort of umming and ahhing about what to do because I just loved it so much. And I ended up going and just putting a panel in at the bottom. And then you'll see the link of these 3 cards is I added embossed flowers to each of them. So started off with this, added just this dark blue as a panel at the base. Just to be able to put the sentiment on as a kind of grounded area, but it meant it wasn't covering up the hummingbird, which is the bit that I really wanted to be visible. You can see by this point I'm sort of starting to sort of scrabble through a little bit for smaller pieces that might fit. I have still got some bigger pieces, but they tend to be the slightly more populated patterns. Does that even make sense? Now, later on in this video, I will be kicking myself because I do not clean off my stamps. For some reason, I chose to stamp them in VersaFine as opposed to Versamark. Then don't clean off my stamps, and then you can probably guess what happens. Yeah, I end up with a dirty Versamark, which is fine. It still operates fine, but I'd been doing so well. I'd kept this one clean for a good few months. I'm just annoyed now. Never mind. Right, so I stamped directly onto the pattern paper using the VersaFine and then gold embossing powder, and that creates some really pretty flowers. And I just laid up my flower, and now I'm having a look through what sentiment do I want to use. I must admit I'm getting to the point where none of the sentiments are things that I'm probably going to use myself after this point. In fact, there might even be a couple that I use in this that I'm like, I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to send that card. So some of them might go to the charity shop. You never know. I do that with my cards. What do you do? If you make a lot of cards like I do, what do you do with them all? Because I certainly couldn't send all the ones that I actually make. So I tend to package mine up and send them either with a friend who's doing a craft fair for charity or something along those lines, or I just package them up and send them over to the local charity shop and they can sell them in the shop. That's what I tend to do with mine. I just wondered what other people do. I also give some as gifts, so I always like package up a bundle of about 10 to each of my aunties of random kind of types. So I usually send them about 10 Christmas cards and then 10 random cards, so thank yous, birthdays, anniversaries, etc. So I tend to do a bit of a selection, package them up. Right, I'm on to the second card now. This one, I went with another large panel of the background. To be honest, most of this gets covered up. And again, I am gutting any cardstock where I think it's going to be a layer covered up entirely like this one was. Firstly, it keeps the weight out of it, but it also sort of reduces down the amount that you use, so therefore you can use those smaller pieces you've cut it out for either die cutting or for another panel piece or another layer. This one I had already stuck onto white cardstock. Quick reminder, any toppers and stuff that you have in these magazine kits, it's a good idea to just glue them down to some scrap cardstock first before you cut them out, and it'll give them some strength and make them a bit sturdier. Now, because it was an oval shape, and it was quite a large oval shape, I didn't do the perfect job of cutting it out. I didn't get an exact border all the way around, but I disguised it by doing embossing all the way around the edge, just some loose embossing, and that covered it up. And then I took this script stamp that I've had for donkey's years. Here you go, this is where I start to mess up my Versamark. So if I'd have got the audio on, you'd have heard me go, no. Oh, I'm so annoyed with myself, but never mind. And then I don't learn because I still don't clean it, and then I make it even worse in a minute. But yeah, that script stamp, I did the same with the embossing powder, but I just stamped it loosely across. So this isn't from the magazine kit. This is just a random one from my stash. I might even be in French. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter what it says. It's just a script, and it's kind of quite an old-fashioned looking script, but I think it works with these papers, which have, in some of them have got bits of script on them, you know, just in the background where it's a bit sketchy, and I thought it worked nicely. This time the embossed flowers I did on the pink cardstock, just so that they were a bit lighter in colour, but again embossed with the gold. And then there's my sentiment, but as I am sticking this down, I'm having a thought. I actually think, maybe I would add some ribbon in. I've got my ribbon box to the side of me, mainly because I dropped it on the floor earlier today. It's a right old mess, which is very frustrating because my daughter only sorted it out a few days ago. And yeah, I managed to, I didn't drop it. It fell from a precarious position I had placed it in. So it is still my fault. But yeah, and went all over the floor. Oops. Anyway, I found that bit of navy ribbon and thought, perfect. Added that to the front panel, wrapped it round and then stuck it onto the card, and then I have glued my flower and the sentiment on the top with an enamel dot in the centre. And then I kept spotting this big panel, and I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to use it on the inside of a card, which feels like a waste, but do you know what, it's going to work, it'll be fine. I am about trying to use this paper up. I don't know how many more cards I'm going to get out of what I've got left, but it's going to be at least another few. Yeah, I just need to get it used up now. So that's the second card done. Third card, we went with the purple as the base. I just trim this down slightly so it's a normal standard size, and then we've got the pink as the layer on the top. Again, find quite a large patterned paper, which I thought was perfect for it, and then added that to the pink panel. Before I did it though, I suddenly thought, firstly let's gut this, but I also thought, maybe I could add that script in again. So I took that same script stamp and just again randomly in a light way added it across the panel, so it's not complete in any place. It's just some bits of script. It adds the texture, it adds the shine. I think it's a quite a nice way to sort of change up your pattern paper a little bit, make it a bit more special. I have to say, when you're doing tiny pieces of paper like this, it does pay to get some tweezers, because I must admit, did singe the hairs on my fingers a little. Right, once that was laid down, I had to decide what I was actually going to do, and this is where I'm sort of struggling to find a sentiment. I do find one, this one here. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure who I would send this card to. I have friends who are very special to me, but would I send them a card? I'm not entirely sure, but you know, you never know. So mounted that onto some scrap cardstock, then mounted it onto this little bit of the pink that I had gutted from the centre, and that creates a nice little card topper or sentiment topper. I then thought, well, I've got this scrap of this blue ribbon, so I'm going to use that, and I'm just going to create a little tail behind the banner, the panel, using plenty of tape to keep it in place. And then I stick that over to the right. And again, it's time to do the stamping and embossing. This time I chose to do it on the sort of the navy cardstock. And again, see, look, I have well and truly dirtied that Versamark by now. That's not rescue all. I mean, as I say, it doesn't impact on the quality of the Versamark. It still works fine. It just means that you can't use it with clear embossing and expect it to be clear. That's the only problem, but never mind. I actually don't think I've got any clear embossing powder at the moment. That's something that I need to checking my box, but the one that's on the table, on the desk, which is normally where I keep my clear and my white and my gold out at all times because they're the ones I use the most of, that one's empty. As in, it's got about 4 grains in it. So I really need to chuck that away and get out a new box if there is one in the cupboard, or order some. That's what needs to happen. Okay, down to the final stages now, just adhering everything together. My ATG ran out towards the beginning of this video and I couldn't be bothered refilling it, even though that's in the cupboard, so I do need to do that as well. I feel like I need to do a full-on tidy up as well at this point. I have got strips of tiny bits of cardstock everywhere, bits of paper everywhere, so I am at the point where I was getting tired. I think I've made 12 cards today. Yeah, I think I've made, 13 cards I've made today. So I am tired. It's almost tea time, so I need to go and sort out some tea. It's leftovers for tea today. So I need to go and sort some tea out and, yeah, have a bit of a clear up and probably crack on and try and get the rest of that pack finished, or as much as I possibly can tomorrow. I really like these cards. I think they're very pretty. They are well out of my normal comfort zone. I don't normally go for that much distinct pattern, you know, where they've actually got a focal point within the pattern, but I really like how they came out and I love the gold embossing. It makes it so special. I'm really pleased I pulled in that script stamp as well. I think it really worked well with the papers. I hope you've enjoyed this. There is a whole playlist of me using this magazine kit, so please do check that out. If I remember, I'll try and link it in the description box below. Please subscribe to see future videos. I've got loads planned for the new year, so hopefully there'll be some more stuff. Hopefully I will have finished using up this pattern paper and be on to a different magazine kit. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye bye.